Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe Show. My name is Sharon.
Hey, everybody. My name is Joe.
So, Joe and I had a very, very busy day. Do you want to talk about our day?
Well, it started off slow. We had to get up early this morning because my brother and sister-in-law down the street, they wanted to get their pictures done due to the Christmas. Whatever
Christmas
pictures.
card photos.
Yeah, I don't know. Sharon loves doing them too. So I was like, all right, cool. So my brother's wife called up Sharon a couple days ago, asked if we could do them because Sharon's good with photography and stuff, and so is she actually. So we went and started off there, and then came home, and it was like I just was pretty lethargic this morning. Kind of just I laid back down for a little bit, and I was like, man, this is not going to be a productive day, and that's depressing. But we got up after I got up, and we dropped your daughter off at work, and man, we were rolling for about a good 4 hours.
It was go, go, go. And now here we are, dedicated to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's good for us too, you guys. You know, it definitely helps us out. I mean, if we could reach one person out there, that's great. But if I definitely help myself. That's for sure. When I talk about the post traumatic stress disorder and the anxiety and the fear and the faith and the courage and all the things that matter in life.
Well, we're all going through this together. And, speaking of post-traumatic stress disorder, Joe and I this is like, I don't know, you can see how smart we are. We had this epiphany. So last night, Joe we're going to talk about this next week, but the CPTSD kind of like reared its ugly head. And it suddenly occurred to us, you know what? We talk about how Joe has CPTSD or I have PTSD, and then we just accept it, almost like, all right, I have cancer, and I guess that's it. So we're going to really work on trying to solve it, deal with it, like get past it. So we're going to talk to you. That's what next week's episode is going to be about, how to get through CPTSD.
And I'll share with you guys too, like really, like the inner landscape of my mind and what's going on through them. But something triggered this about a couple of weeks ago, and it really, the anxiety and the fear, and it sucks, man. And I forget sometimes that, oh yeah, this is okay. It's nothing to be afraid of. This is what I have, and I'm aware of it. But when I forget, it gets very scary. And even though I'm aware of it, I ain't doing shit about it. Except I'm living as best as I can a spiritual way of life. But there's things out there that I don't have to experience all this pain and relive this trauma.
So we're going to be on a mission, you guys. We're going to deal with it this week and talk to you about it next week. But we have something else to discuss tonight. The video we're going to do tonight is kind of based on something that happened a few days ago. Some of you, if you see the community page, my ex has been contacting me, and
Well, he's been reaching out. He hasn't contacted you yet.
Oh, yes, that's true. He's been emailing me. He doesn't have my phone number. He just emailed me. And it was he had sent me this smaller email, which kind of annoyed me, asking me for a Christmas card photo. Although, this is so bad. So I said to Joe, now obviously I'm no contact, so he's not getting a Christmas card photo. He knows I got talking about Christmas card photos at the beginning. I am big on Christmas cards. We get the kids, the dogs. Well, my ex knows this, so he wanted a Christmas card. But how funny would it be if I sent him one of our Christmas cards?
Oh, ours?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Except
all 4 kids are on it.
it would break the cardinal rule of no contact. We were talking about that a couple days ago, guys, how it's like the no contact, it does just so much. It's like an invisible force field. It gave me my dignity back, but it really is like a force field.
Well, we were talking because I said to Joe, so I've gotten several emails from my ex. I'm going to read the latest one that I got from him. But the original one was when he wanted the Christmas card photo. It really upset me, the nerve of him. And I said to Joe, when I was just joking now about sending him a Christmas card photo, because it's not just my 2 kids, it's Joe's kids on it too. So that would be quite the shock for him. But
he wanted it so he could bring it up to his work and let everyone know what a great family he has and what a.
There's my ex-wife's boyfriend's kids.
Who even knows? Well, he probably gave him the sympathy story that you left, and he's just a sympathy in the victim story, I'm sure. But there was a while where he probably didn't say nothing at all.
Oh yeah, I don't need. Yeah, he probably has said something now. But I was tempted to break no contact. Now, not to the point where I was really going to do it, but I had to talk to Joe about it because there was this part of me that wanted to.
There's a saying that the road to hell is paved by good intentions. So you had a strategy behind why, and you knew that it was nutty, And it was good that you talked about it. I think that's one very important thing. Part of no contact is when you even the thought crosses your mind, like it's good to reach out to somebody else
Yeah.
and talk to them about the insanity of what that means. And I think the only people that would truly understand are people that have been through what we've been through.
Well, you know, when I was tempted to contact my ex, what I really wanted to do was the same thing I wanted to do when I found out about narcissism. Tell him, like in a helpful way. Like, oh my gosh, like
Benefits you.
yes, yeah. Well, that's true.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Well, not just
that's
that,
very
the
true,
kids
yeah.
too, and the kids too. But basically,
But it would benefit him too, right? Like if he was a rational person, it's not good for you to be that way.
it would, yeah, it definitely would benefit him if he was kind and was able to show that he was sorry and changing and stuff. But they don't see that as a benefit at all, and they stay sick and vile.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like Joe and I, we kind of went through this where, and this is before. I'm going to read you the other email. He sent me two other emails. I'm going to read you the longer one before the end of the video. But I was talking to Joe about how I wanted to really be like, look, you know, don't you understand what you've done? Like I wanted to explain it to him, and Joe started talking about, no, I wasn't going to contact him.
The guy's a creep, you guys. Like he hasn't been a part of his life for over 2.5 years. He decided to start paying child support pretty much because he has to. And for the last 6 months, he's paid child support, which is on the low end.
He only pays child support because he is going to get the tax refund for.
Yeah, part of the divorce was that he gets a tax refund. He gets to claim his son next year. Like, and Sharon's not in a position to argue or like whatever. Her purpose was to try to explain to him, hey, listen, you want a Christmas card. You know, you actually could probably have a relationship with your kids if you did some things that would show that you know, that you're changing, you're trying to do the right thing, to try to tell him, hey, listen, you idiot. You haven't been a part of these kids' lives for 3 years. You're paying child support, and you want to claim our youngest next year so that you could get a check back from the government?
Well, that's the thing. Like, just I don't want this to be just all complaining, but there's a reality. You know, my ex is putting me through it. He is the one that has a 6-figure job. I'm starting over with the kids, his kids.
No alimony?
No alimony. He pays the bare minimum with child support. He fought so that he didn't have to pay extra if he got a raise.
He pretty much got everything that he wanted. Sharon got what she truly needed and wanted, but we weren't trying to like go for the gold.
I got full custody of my son because my ex didn't want him. He gave me my son as if he was the cat or dog. Like he didn't want him. That's what I got. And it's fine. I didn't have the money to fight it. Like I just didn't. What I really wanted, I wanted my son. And you guys know, if you go through a divorce with a narcissist, somebody who's fighting you, he would have dragged me back to New Hampshire. He could have sent my son to a psychiatrist, tried to force my son to say that I turned him against him.
It would have been another $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 to
Yeah.
the lawyer. It would have been nuts, man. So Sharon was in her head. Her thought process was, well, first off, she knew it was nutty, but and she was humble enough to say, "Hey, Joe, I'm not going to do this, but can I talk to you about this?" And I said, "You know what? Even if you were gonna, before you do anything, let's talk it out. Let's reason about it." And she told me it was a good reason. Hey, like, it ain't cool. You know how far behind we are. We're struggling. Like, I should be able to, you know, file for my son next year. Why is like he's been paying child support for 6 months, and I know that I could talk him into it. Like, I could tell him about the Christmas cards. We could get him that. Maybe he could have a relationship, and I bet you there's a 95% chance I could talk him into it.
But
she
it
said,
was
"What do you
like-
think?"
But I was doing the same thing that I had done before. Like I said, when I found out about narcissism, like, you know what, Joe, almost like he doesn't know.
Yeah, I just got to
He-
explain to him.
yeah, he
Like, if
doesn't
understands-
understand.
Yeah, if he
Yeah.
understands what he doesn't understand, which is impossible. I had a good friend tell me one time, he's like, "Joe, how do you tell somebody that doesn't know they don't know?" And I thought about it, and while I was thinking, he says, "You don't."
Yeah.
This is NPD is absolutely 100%, in my opinion, underrated as far as a personality disorder. It's the only disorder of any kind of psychological function that I know of that every single 99.9% of clinicians and doctors it's so vile that they say no contact. As a matter of fact, like, try not to even have contact with people that you know them. That's how vile and how much of a virus they are to the human race.
Well, That's so true, Joe. And we started talking, and this really is what I think is going to help somebody if you are considering no contact. We started going through what would happen if I
If
had.
you were breaking it.
Yes,
If you brought it, what would
yes,
happen?
exactly.
And as we played the tape through, and I said, you know what? She goes, what do you think, Joe? You think I'd talk him into it? I was like, yeah, probably. And then she's waiting, well, then why do you think I shouldn't? And we said, okay, so let's start off with you email him back. All right. He won. He got you, first off. And I'll tell you why. And we started playing the tape like, okay, so then he's going to have his claws back in you some way, shape, or form. And that's all they need. And what will happen is he'll agree to it. Then in a couple days, he'll talk to his sick-ass parents and all the people in AA that he lied to about what happened to him and how he's going to start rationalizing in his head like, no, wait a minute, this isn't fair, and how he would come back and counteroffer with something else. And before you know it, the divorce that was almost over is put on hold, and then he breaks contact. He doesn't have any contact with you after he says, no, I'm not going to do it. And then your divorce lawyer's asking you, what the hell happened? I thought you were supposed to not contact him. He's coming back. Now he wants to see your son and have partial and this and that and blah, blah, blah. We played the tape through it, and Sharon, like we both were being honest, we were like, holy shit, that'll open up Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Just by that one email with good intentions, breaking no contact with a fucking foul, disgusting, evil, fucking possessed creature. Excuse my French. Sure.
No, but you're right, Joe. Like I wasn't even thinking that way. Like I said, I just want to state, like I knew I wasn't going to contact him, but there was this part of me. Like when I talked to you, Joe, if you said, you know what, maybe you should do that. I don't know if I would have, but I would have been more likely to. But it's like, you're right. Like me coming to somebody rationally and saying, listen, can we just talk about this? I'm the one with the kids, and I'm starting completely over. Remember, like I was a stay-at-home mom, like because we both agreed to this. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'm starting over because of the things that he did. He has the $100,000 in debt that I have to pay part of. He paid child support for a few months, and now he gets our son next year. He doesn't do anything for him. He's not like it's just crazy. So I'm like, I could tell him this. But then, my God, the way Joe was talking, and I knew he was right. One breaking of no contact, one moment. Oh, my Lord, you guys.
It's not just like the narcissist. For me, I believe that many of them, not all of them, Sharon and I are different, but many of them are demonically influenced, to say the least. And some of them are just full-blown, like... So you're not opening up a door to a person. Like, you're opening them up evil that knows your fears and insecurities and weaknesses inside and out. It's an ancient evil. So don't even think about what is he capable of. What is like your worst fear? What is a evil entity, a force, a negative energy that knows you inside and out? What are they capable of? And if you ain't close to God, because by that time, if you broke no contact, that probably means you and God have like for right now, at least a love-hate relationship. You ain't close to God. For me, like it took God. I was beyond human aid. It took God to save me from this relationship. You break no contact, that evil, the demon, whatever it is much more powerful than you are.
Well, I think you just naturally, as time passes, right? Like I haven't seen my ex for over a year. I haven't spoken to him for a year, right? So
it's been a couple of years.
Well, I saw him, I think I saw him a year, like when was it? I saw him in the fall at one point. Like it was October, November, not this year, but the year before. I saw him briefly.
You had to do something for like
can't remember what I
taxes or
did,
something,
yeah.
tax papers or something.
There was something I gave him, so I did see him very briefly. Like it wasn't, we haven't had like any time spent together for years. We've been separated for 3 years at this point. And even before that, like things were terrible. But I haven't seen him. But as time passes, it's kind of like, you know what? You almost, not forget. I definitely didn't forget. But it's like you get this stage where, you know what? Like I could talk to you, Joe. It's almost like I'm thinking, I could talk to him.
We forget, we could sometime, that's why it's so important to stay close to our beginnings in recovery. These things don't happen like an everyday occurrence. Like, it just doesn't. It's not like, oh yeah, I saw a narcissist last week and a week before, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Like, these things are few and far in between. Thank God. could forget after time, like what it was like, what they are, not who they are. You begin to relate them as a person again. You start saying, well, this is who they are really. No, it's what they are. I had to dehumanize mine in order to stay safe in a way. It's like not who they are, it's what they are. What are they? They are whatever's described in a DSM-5. Like they are a playbook. They are cardboard cookie cutters of, like, if I want to know who my ex was, I just got to go to the DSM-5. I just got to listen to you guys here because they're all the same.
We're all, yes, all of us have been with the same person. And, you know, when I was still with my ex, I was with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he had me isolated from other people. He was like the person I was always around. I was around this crazy all the time. Now that I've been separated from him, I'm not around crazy all the time. I'm around Joe. I can talk to you. I can talk to other people.
Maybe I can talk to him, like, and help him see his, and like that in itself is an insane thought. You know, the important part is that you have enough courage and humility to be like, man, I'm not going to do it, but Joe, I've been racing around this in my mind. I said, that's good because you don't open your mouth, and that's going to fester in your mind, and sometimes your mind is a liability. It's like a prison, and it could turn in on itself. You got to get it out and talk to somebody about it. Talk to somebody that understands narcissism to say, yeah, and chuckle at it. Like, yeah, that's a pretty insane thought. Like, wow, holy shit.
Well, Joe and I, like, we talk all the time about this type of thing. And then for us, we can come to each other. Like, I know if there's any issue I have with my ex, any question I have, any thought I have, Joe gets it. Just like you guys get it. If you know a narcissist, you know a narcissist. Like, you don't need to know my ex or Joe's ex. You just need to know what narcissism is, what the thing is. It's a creature. And whether or not you go that far to believe that they're actually demonic, this is the thing that always hits me. It doesn't even matter. It's believable. It's understandable why someone would think that.
It's not only that, but say you want to be a scientist. Like, the scientists and the doctors say no contact. That's pretty freaking extreme, man.
Yes.
Like, when they say no contact ever again, like, and try not to contact anybody they know, that's pretty freaking extreme.
It's also just, yes. And then,
that means that there's something really fucking wrong with them. Demonic or not, I don't care. Like, you could be neutral and not even be spiritual, and you have to agree that, according to the definition of evil, they are evil.
Yes.
You don't have to be in religion or spirituality or whatever. Like, read the definition. Like, the same thing as scientifically, no contact. They're saying that is, like, the way forward.
And it's not even just like us, it's their own children. Like, when you think about that, they shouldn't be around the other parent. It's insane, the pain. Like, Joe and I have 4 kids together. Each of those 4 children have been touched by their parent, by their narcissistic parent. We are left dealing with the trauma that they've had. It's unbelievable.
We chuckled when I call it playing the tape forward. Like, sometimes, you know, you have your cycle of abuse. You know, the discard is the final stage of the shelving. Like, the love bomb, the devaluing the discard. A lot of times when people break no contact early on, is that they don't play the tape all the way through. Like, the obsession is stuck on.
It's like an instinct, right? Like, I'll just do this.
The obsession is based on the idealization or the love bombing. Like, they used to be like that. People, when they break that no contact, they don't play it all the way through. Like, okay, so what happened after that? Like, what happened? They usually just stop right at the love. Okay, I got to call him. Now it's like you got to play the tape all the way through. And when we did, and we saw all the scenarios, none of them were good.
Oh, no.
None of them were like, yeah, he agreed he's going to pay he's going to let you have file your son, and everything's going to be cool. You can continue on your way to no contact.
I mean, because Joe had said to me too, he's like, you know, imagine if he had actually done something about his life, if he had tried to make amends, like real amends. Because in a minute, I'm going to read you one of the other emails I got from him. Things could be so different, but instead, the narcissist, they can't do it. Like, it's so important to know this ahead of time. The person that you believed they were at one point, like, because obviously, I think it's obvious, I wouldn't have married somebody that I thought was insane. I believed that this was a person. I believed that he loved his kids. I believed all this stuff. And once you know the truth, it can never go back to the way that you thought that they were, that you need to know the new reality forever.
Yeah, and that reality, it took me a couple of years to accept that there's
Yeah.
things out there like this. And that's
Yes.
crazy. I used to watch like documentaries on serial killers, and I believed all those kind of people, horrible people out there, that kidnappers and and for whatever reason, I didn't believe that there's people out here. I would never compare my pain or suffering with one of those other people that went through a kidnapping or anything. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, for some reason, I didn't believe that there's quote unquote people out there that will look you dead in the face and say I love you and cheat on you 100 times and rob you and slowly and methodically tear your self-esteem to shreds and get off on it and
Yeah.
and like not have remorse. And like I didn't believe it for some reason. I like
Well, me too. I think it's because when you first met the person, you saw them. Like, first impressions matter, and like, for me, anyways, I believed the person that my ex pretended to be. And I guess maybe it's just I needed to believe that. I wanted to believe it. That was the real him.
I think there's, you get to a stage in your recovery too that, of course you do, but then we have to look at all the red flags, our codependence and all that stuff. However, they definitely didn't live up to their part of the bargain.
What I'm going to do right now, you guys, because I got that initial email from him. I was very upset about this. Joe and I talked about it, and I felt better because you talked me through, like, all right, this is what would happen, Sharon. Like, you're not going to get what you think is possible. It's going to be
Worse.
a disaster. You're gonna tell me this, and then I'm gonna be mad at you for doing that, and it was crazy.
I told her, I was like, I love you, and I ain't no control freak. I don't ever want you to contact your ex-boyfriends or this and that. Remember what you're dealing with, and when the shit hits the fan, I don't want no part of it, because I can't let it suck up the energy from me, because I'm going through my own CPTSD, and I would fucking be biting my lips saying so bad, I told you so, you dumbass. You know what I mean? Like, I love
No,
it.
I get it. I know what you mean. So if I hadn't had this conversation with you the other day,
It just
when
would've festered. It would've-
and I got this email, what I'm going to read.
Yeah,
All
read
right, guys. This just infuriated me. Hi, Sharon. I hope you and the kids are doing well. Oh, actually, I just want to say something before I go on. Our house is finally on the market, by the way.
After 10 months.
Yes, he was supposed to have it on July 15th, so he's going to reference that. I hope you and the kids are doing well. If we get offers on the house this weekend, I think it would be much easier and efficient for all involved if you and I could discuss potential counteroffers with one another if necessary. I'm hoping you agree and might provide your phone number. Let's get this house sold so we can both be one step closer to moving forward. Unrelated, but I've been hoping to make amends to you. I was waiting for you to reply to my other emails during the last 5 months before I said anything, but you went silent. If this is something that you feel would be helpful to you, guys, I'm gonna throw up right now, please let me know. I'd also like to make amends to the kids, but haven't wanted to mention it to them. Maybe you can say something to them about it at some point if you feel it might be helpful to them. Oh, guys, if you think it's better that I first mention it, I absolutely can and will. It's just that you know their mindset better than I, and I don't want to have any kind of negative impact on them. I can't even say that. If I don't hear from you, please know that I do truly hope that you all have a nice Christmas. Regards. Oh my God. Like, when I got that, I thought I was going to explode.
Yeah, I explained to Sharon, and this is so easy from the outside. You cannot afford, like, I told her, like, it's a fart in the wind. I mean, I know it's like a Robertoism that I have when I say like stupid shit, but that's as relevant as it is you have to look at it like a fart in the wind. And hopefully you're not downwind where you got to smell that shit, because we had to live with it for 20 years.
You guys, it's just that the nerve, like, and this is a good example of what a narcissist really is. They don't take any responsibility. There's no responsibility. Hey, I thought we could do this, let bygones be bygones. Oh, by the way, I wanted to make amends to you. What's he going to say? Like, seriously, what's he going to say?
Sharon and I, partly why we bonded so well was that I'm in a recovery program for jackasses like me who abuse drugs and alcohol. And her ex happened to get into some kind of recovery program that I was very well intimately acquainted with.
Yeah, this is how we met, Jonah.
Yeah, and it was really, I tried to explain to Sharon that that's his secondary supply. You're the primary supply, that secondary supplies. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be a group. It could be an idea that replaces you. And man, there's people out there that parrot words. They hear certain words and they parrot them and they spit them back out and they mimic them just to let you know how well they're doing and how much they've changed. When you get into a serious recovery program, you see how screwed up you are, and you see that you definitely need to change. And you can't do that on your own. You need to have a conscious contact with God that can remove the obsession to drink and use drugs. And you could live with some kind of peace, and you could be beneficial to society because your past experience you could lose, which was a liability, you could use as an asset. Well, part of that is working a set of directions that can help you remove all that shit that you got in front of you that blocks God out. And part of that is working, they call them steps. And this guy didn't work one. Like, it's just words.
Yeah, Joe contacted me initially because of something I said in a video. I don't remember what I said, but I said something in a video about my
I think
ex.
you kind of knocking down like one of the programs, but you didn't know any better, and you weren't even knocking down. You're like in defense of this program he's in. Like, I got nothing wrong with that. That's great as helping people, but my God, this guy sounds like he's full of shit.
And the thing is, Joe has helped me tremendously. So let me ask you this, Joe, to end the video, because this might help somebody else. Because you're familiar with this, right? So this is for anybody like me who is with somebody who is an addict, right? And this person claims to be in a recovery program and everything's great now because it's all lollipops and sunshine and, yeah. Oh, yes. So what would somebody do who was, let's just say my ex, right? Just as an example, because you know the story. What would somebody like him do if he was truly in recovery? How would he deal with this?
What you've witnessed for the last 2.5, 3 years since he's been in, they just wouldn't be that way. I'm not going to explain to everybody, but the word amends in Latin means to change. So you have to think of like if you're in law and you talk about amendment to the Constitution to actually change it. The word amend, to make amends to somebody, means that you change. And in order to change, you have to take responsibility instead of blaming it on the alcohol and the drugs. You have to take responsibility for what you've done. And you have to have intuition and courage and honesty to look at yourself and pick your ass apart, like ruthless.
Kind of like what honesty. We've done, realistically, in our own recovery from codependence.
From codependence or our own recovery from abuse. Nothing like that happened. In the middle of the divorce, there would have been things, like he got everything he wanted. Whatever he wanted, he got. And there were things that he didn't deserve, like the $40,000 worth of credit card debt he racked up behind your back, which was part of the financial irresponsibility that he had.
Well, I'm going to say something about that too. It was $100,000. I'm like just curious about this.
I think he consolidated or somehow.
Yes. And so I don't even know if he's even going to ever pay that.
His rich dad probably gave him $20,000 and said, okay.
But then there's like a part of me that, like a big part of me that believes that he's not even going to pay it. I don't even get a dime from the house until he's given that money.
It's there's nothing changed. At best, maybe his breath, it doesn't smell like vodka anymore. Other than that, it's just mimicking. See, as an alcoholic and addict myself, I had to look deep inside to see that selfishness and self-centeredness was the root of my problem. The drugs and the alcohol were just a symptom. For some people, because I've been to these programs, it's not just a selfish, self-centered person, like self-condemnation, self-pity, like a victim mentality. It was my own childhood trauma and stuff like that. Many people that get into recovery programs, they got personality disorders. Not all of them. Where it's not selfish and self-centeredness when it's the root. It's like magnified by an actual personality disorder that's the root that he's been trying to run away from. So now the danger is that when these people get to these programs, they're like, oh, okay, it was alcohol and drug. I was an alcoholic. They're still not willing to like say, man, I was selfish and self-centered. They're not willing to right the wrongs to the people that they robbed and stole from and go up to their freaking doors or bang on their doors and make financial amends or to like humble themselves in front of people that they've done wrong to. It's the alcoholism and the addiction is an excuse. It's it's an excuse to say, okay, so I get a write-off, I get a free pass because, oh, okay, I was an alcoholic and addict. It really wasn't my fault. They're totally, a true recovery would mean that it doesn't matter. Like, I chose to drink and do drugs, and I did horrible things to other people because of that. It's not because of the drink or the drug. It was because of my selfish and self-centered nature that drove me to that. There's no responsibility at all. He's basically, at best, as I said, his breath change. He'll go to meetings, fake who the hell he really is inside, make surface kind of friends. But people like that don't change. They're not even people. So, like I said before, he's a fart in the wind. Like, he means nothing. Anything that comes out of his mouth means nothing. Don't think that he got away with anything. I promise you.
Yeah, Joe has been comforting me like that. I had a rough night last night. Yeah, well, this it was tough, you guys. I had a rough night last night because
you think that they get away and they got what he wanted. Yeah. And I promise you, when he goes back to those recovery groups at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and he can't sleep, and see, these people are great manipulators, but you cannot manipulate reality. There's certain laws set in place. It doesn't matter, and when they can't come to terms and balance that equation out. That fear, anxiety, like I call them the four horsemen: terror, bewilderment, frustration, despair, all the things that they ran from their whole lives. They're just running. They can't sit in their skin for a minute.
And, I hope that makes somebody feel better, because it helped me feel better, because it does seem like the narcissist gets everything. They get to escape scot-free, and Joe reminded me, he lost his entire family. He doesn't have children. He's at home alone in the house with no one there. He's confronted by himself. They drift in and out of consciousness. So
sometimes they know what the hell they're doing, and other times they don't. But the times that they drift into consciousness and they realize, holy shit, that feeling,
could you imagine if that was you?
Oh, no. The biggest challenge is that we had this, in order to change, we had to suffer. Yeah. We had to suffer through pain, pain that it doesn't seem apparent that they ever suffer from. Ignorance is bliss. Man, it must be nice not to have any...
That's a hard thing for me to deal with.
It must be nice not to have any remorse, man. Yeah. How would that would be, to not give a fuck about anybody or not how you affect anybody. That seems like bliss. It's not, man. They are tormented beings. They have to find something or something else to validate they even fucking exist, because they don't even have a personality. It's a culmination of bits and pieces. And as I said, man, we've all suffered from childhood trauma. It's no excuse to be a fucking malignant, vindictive asshole. Yeah. These people are hatred and spite in action. The energy is just bad, man. That's why I said, no contact. It's like the Holy Spirit's invisible force field. It's and if you don't believe in spirituality or God of your understanding, and you would rather say frequencies of vibrations and shit, well, it's an invisible force field, man. And if you're the dumbass that breaks it, you're opening up Pandora's box. And it's just, you be grateful. For me, I was given mercy. If I was given justice, I tell my friends all the time, I'd be in an orange jumpsuit behind bars or 6 feet under. I was no saint. I've been saved, though, and not everybody gets to be saved. And there's people out there much better than I ever was that weren't. And I don't know why or how it works. I just know that whatever's in them is so vile that it can affect everything in your life. It's like a fucking tsunami, like a 5 hurricane. It's just, they're not good. You just need to stay away.
Yeah, I you know what, Joe? You were just so on there. You're right. And I hope that helps somebody. When you're with a narcissist, and even when it seems like you've lost so much, you win. When you're away from the narcissist, you win, no matter what it seems like they've gone on.
You won a game that you didn't even know you were playing in the first place. You're that powerful that you won anyways when they cheated. If I look at reality, you guys, and Sharon knows when you guys, a lot of you do, where I'm a realist, I say, where I'm not a pessimist, but I tend to be don't put your expectations up, because you're going to get your hopes up, you're going to get down. So I've suffered with depression, all kinds of shit. If I thought for one moment that my ex, when she left me and stole $20,000 of my kids' savings out of my account, left me with both my boys, her dog, 2 cats, her mother, she stole the car, the electric was off. If I thought that she was having a great life, I probably would have killed myself. I should have said that on YouTube, but I wouldn't, you guys, I don't think I can't balance that out. Like, I don't think I'd be good. Like, I believe that I
It
could
would be
forgive-
difficult to
I
recover.
believe
Yeah.
I believe I forgive myself, the narcissist, but if she rode off into the sunset, dude, if I believe that and like, oh my God, like I'm here stuck with all the responsibilities and I had a bleeding ulcer, had panic attacks 3 times a week, was throwing up, like if I thought that she was happy, man, it wouldn't be cool with me. I psychoanalyze and overanalyze everything. I'm brutally honest with myself to the point of I'm of self-condemnation sometimes. I promise you, they're not getting away with shit, man. They are walking possessed evil things, and they're not happy because like their garbage is piling up so much in their garbage can that they needed somebody else to dump that shit on. They're tormented spirits.
So truly, you guys, if you're dealing with this, man, you've won. You've won if you're away from them, and that's all that matters. You can have a life. You know, Joe and I sometimes we're sitting here with 100% of the responsibilities, but the truth, we saved our kids from this stuff, and it's our turn to start over.
There's some people in this world that they don't even deserve to breathe the same air that you breathe. That's how low they are, and you want to open your mouth and try to convince them of who they are or what they are, this or that. I learned like my self-worth, my self-dignity when I went no contact and built my relationship with God. Man, does it feel good. Like they know that we know what kind of pieces of shit they are. They're like, fuck, they gotta go out. I don't care what you do, man. You're just a fart in the wind. Go elsewhere then. Stink up somebody else's place.
All right, with that, you guys. So next week we're going to talk about CPTSD and how to deal with it. We're going to work on recovery from that. You know, I have PTSD. Joe has CPTSD, and we're going to try to get through this and take you guys along for the ride because all of us need to get over this and move forward and have our life. So, thank you guys so much for listening, Joe. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little bit. I don't know if I was angry tonight or whatever. You know, sometimes you guys, when I put too much concentration on those things, which I don't anymore, when I go back there, it's just a good reminder, like there's nothing that I haven't said that isn't the truth. And if you really knew the truth, there'd probably be a hell of a lot more to say about those beings.
I think it's good though, Joe, because this is how Joe talks to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have conversations and he's forceful, but it's good. I need to hear that. I think you do need to hear that because oh my God, you guys, we're dealing with something so evil that it just, like, it's what Joe said. The solution is no contact. That's not that way with anything else that I can think of.
No, and you're talking clinicians and doctors and scientists, not holy people or anything like that. But think about that. Sit back and think about that for a while. Like 99.99% of these doctors and clinicians and experts agree that no contact. What does that mean? Think about that. Like they're so sick and vile that you can't have any contact with them. Like they don't even do that. Even a coronavirus, if you believe it in or not or whatever, you eventually wear a mask and you can go outside. Like this is no contact ever. Think about that.
All right, guys, I'll see you on Wednesday. Joe will see you next week, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. It's getting close to holiday season, so Joe and I will do something special for the holidays.
Yep,
as
she's
well.
giving me the look, you guys.
Yes.
So I know that we have the night before Christmas. We got to do that one again.
Yes.
We'll get that out and maybe some holiday gifts or something.
All right, so have a great week, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.